Good morning, classmate and teacher. I will talk about public and private education. Uh, I want to know what do you think or what do you know about public education?
Nothing. What do you think? Which one do you think is
Public
better?
and private education.
Only private education.
Private education? Okay.
Something else?
Jose, what do you think about public and private education? Which one will you go by?
Depends on the country.
Depends on the country? Okay, Roberto, what do you think?
Like
Private or public?
education, the public education is good.
It's good.
It's good because it's have the same level of the private education.
It has the same level of level?
No, it's
Kind
not.
of. Okay.
Okay, we know that public and private educations have some similarities and some differences. It's obviously. And I will talk about a little bit of each one. Public education gives equal opportunities for all the children because with that they can develop their abilities to the fullest. All people should be aware that education gives us the best opportunities in our lives. We need education for everything. If we don't have education, we cannot have the standard of living we want because education provides money. All the time I think that education provides money. English provides me money.
That's right.
Most of the parents prefer public education because they don't have the resources to send their children to a private school. Not all the people have the opportunity that we have. We are in a public and bilingual school, but sometimes a lot of people want to be here, but they can't because they don't have the resources. And we need to appreciate that. Obviously, private education is the best option. Teaching their children the necessary skills for an ever-changing world. Many parents are choosing private school education, with options ranging from boarding schools to alternative schools to preschools. There is most certainly a school to suit each and every child. Here are the reasons why parents are choosing to give their children the unique experience of private school and why it's worth the financial investment. There is a similarity between public and private education because in both of them require a certain number of credits for your basic subjects if you want to graduate. Here is the similarity because they have rules and they have like a level of standard of the subjects they need to teach and how to teach. That's why public and private education are equally in that case. Both public and private schools use some kind of testing and review to determine the grade level for new students. There is a lot of regulation, inspection, and review of the operation of both private and public schools. It's obvious that the administrators of the public and private schools have the security of the children in the top of their list of priorities, because that is one of their responsibilities. The parents place the safety of their children in schools. They fully trust that their children will be well in the institution. Public education as well as private education is important, none is inferior to none. We must discriminate against any student regardless of what education he has received. If we have the great opportunity to receive a private education which offers many opportunities and great benefits, we should be very grateful. But we must always remember that education is the same everywhere regardless of where you receive it. The important thing is to have the necessary knowledge to be able to become a great person in this world.
So you think that it doesn't matter if they come from a private or public education, they can make a difference in the world?
Yes, I can make the difference in this world because the thing is inside of
a person.
a person. Because if we want to if we have a public education and we want to be like a famous person, we will try to fight for that.
Okay.
To leave our mark, that many people take us an example and they want to be like us, and that the people who are so important to us are so proud of who we are. I want to be good person in this world because I want to hear of someone that he or she want to be like me.
Okay. Inspiration then.
Yes. And these are a lot of difference between public and private education too. Can you give me one of it?
Similarities or differences?
Difference.
That in public you don't pay, private you pay a lot of money.
Yes.
So money is a factor.
Money
The
factor.
book, the book.
Books, the material. Something else? Manuel? A difference between public and private education.
El manejo de la autoridad.
Management of authority.
¿Cómo controlan los alumnos?
How the, okay.
And the behavior. Okay, I will talk a little bit about behavior.
Roberto, what do you think?
The material.
Materials and uniforms are very different. Private and public schools, they have very different uniforms.
It's a topic that is very important. Like in public education, they can teach everything because her parents don't permit it. And in private education, they can teach a lot of things because when one kid will start in a private school, her parents like sign 18 that say that they agree with all the things of the institution. Certain subjects such as religion and sexual practices are taboo in a public school, and in a private school they teach the kids. Rulings in many court cases over the years have determined the scope and limits of what we can be taught and how it's represented in public school. By contrast, a private school, can teach whatever it likes and present it in any way it chooses.
Example over here, you are receiving U.S. history, right?
Yes.
Contrast, everywhere you go in a public school, you will never learn about U.S. history.
That's why. That's because parents chose to send their children to a specific school which has a program and educational philosophy with which they are comfortable. That doesn't mean that private schools run well and don't provide a quality education. They still undergo rigorous accreditation process regularly to ensure that they are providing the best education experience possible. While public schools must accept all students within their jurisdiction with few exceptions. Behavior is one of those exceptions, and really bad behavior which must be well documented over time. The behavior is another thing that is very important because in public education they don't can make anything to the children that have bad behavior. And in a private school, they can put like sensations and all of that things, and the parents they don't
Exactly.
say anything.
Like when I grounded a student. Yes.
A private school, on the other hand, accepts any student who wishes to according to its academic and other standards. It is not required to give a reason why it has refused to admit anyone. Its decision is made. Discipline is handled differently in private schools versus public schools. Discipline in public schools is somewhat complicated because students are governed by due processes and constitutional rights. This has the practical effect of making it difficult to discipline students for minor and major infractions of the school's code of conduct. Private school students are governed by the contract which their parents sign with the school, and it clearly spells out consequence for what the schools consider unacceptable behavior. Violence in public schools is a top of priority for administrations and teachers, like bullying and all of that things.
It's awful. Yeah, you have no idea how much students you have, and they accept the students because they cannot say no to a student unless it's something hard. And you have every kind of student in your classroom. It's tough.
You need to accept because that is the right of the children
Of the kids.
to have an education.
That's right.
And it's like sad when when a child have the opportunity to be in a private school and in the private school like expulsed because the behavior is so bad, and he need to go to a public school, and in a public school the teachers cannot make anything to him.
It's awful.
The highly published shootings and other acts of violence which have taken place in public and maintain a safe learning environment. Private schools are generally safe places. Access to campuses and buildings is carefully monitored and controlled. The environment in a private school is better than in a public, and that is obviously.
Yes.
Because schools usually have fewer students than in a public school, and it is easier to supervise the school population. It's because not all the parents have the opportunity, not all the parents have the resources. That's why in a private school is less students. Yes, fewer students. The graduation rate between public and private schools is very different. That is because most people do not have the capacity to send their children to a private school, because they don't have the necessary resources. In our country, there is too much poverty. Most of the population is of a scarce economic resource, but it's clear that most people would like to study in a private school because that is a privilege that we who have it should take advantage of it to the fullest. The cost between a public and private school is very different because a public school does not ask for a monthly payment, while in a private school, if the monthly payment is very high. This is due to the fact that the private school does not receive any resource of income from the government, while a public yes.
Yes, and the public receives a lot of money from the government.
Yes.
Like, you have no idea. Almost every teacher there earns around 16,000 lempiras per month. Imagine how many teachers. There are more than 80 teachers in the staff. That's one thing. Number two, they pay the electricity, papers, the copies, all that stuff the government pays. So we are talking about maybe almost 1 million, I think, lempiras per school in a year. It's a lot of money.
Of a school.
Per one school. Imagine how many schools we have. We have too many schools. Just in Copan Ruinas, how many schools do we have? In Santa Rita, how many schools do we have? Public schools.
It's like 3, 4.
Robin, how many public schools do we have here? 3. 4 public schools. In Copan Ruinas, how many public schools do we have? Juan Ramon, Núñez, and there are like 3 kinders. So that makes 4 and 5, 9. There's only 9 million.
In Cabañas.
Then count in Cabañas, how many schools, public schools we have?
2.
2. 2. So that counts to 11 million. Only in these 3 areas. Imagine all Honduras. It's a lot of money. Continue.
A good solid education is what molds the minds of children and puts them on a path to success for the rest of their lives. Poverty and lack of education go hand in hand, and in other countries recognize this and invest in education. It will benefit both the children and the world they grow into. Education is very important because that us improve ourselves and grow as people. As we learn, our knowledge is increasing. And as I had mentioned it before, no one shall believe superior to anyone because of the education they have received. Not all people have the possibility of attending a private school, and many times those people who attend a public school are the people who are most eager to learn and to excel in this life. Although we cannot deny that in a certain way public and private education have their difference, but that does not mean that one is more useful than other. The opportunities to overcome are provided by the 2 types of education. Everything else is in ourselves, in our awareness of become. What we want and pursue our dreams and making them come true. We must always remember that we are the ones who put limits on ourselves. We can get to where we want to go. Let's just let everything flow and let nothing influence. Let us wake up the desire to learn something new every day and keep it forever in our memory.
Okay, very good.